Linda muted.
Okay, go ahead, Amanda.
Amanda Matuzik.
Andrea Worthington.
Chris Zimmerman.
And Paul.
Yeah, Paul.
Paul Sebesta.
Okay, and Laura Robertson and Linda Schicchetti are here as staff.
Great.
So the next thing is approval of minutes, but do we have a quorum to do that or no?
Yeah, you have a quorum with 4.
All right. So does anybody have any comments or edits on the minutes from August 13th, 2020?
No. Sounded like the meeting I went to. Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't have any comments.
Okay, so we'll accept those minutes.
Do we have to do a motion to accept the minutes? Does anybody
I will
want?
motion to accept the minutes.
Does anybody want
I
a second?
I'll
Okay,
second.
we got Chris the second. Very good.
Yeah, do we have a quorum? I guess it was 3 people. I can't remember.
There's 4 of us, so
We have 4.
Oh, there's 4 of us. Oh, okay. I guess I'm just seeing in my Hollywood squares.
Yeah, I'm somehow a little tiny thing at the corner here.
yeah. Okay. Privilege of the floor. I don't believe we have any guests. Nope.
Yeah, we didn't receive any emails or requests to attend tonight.
Okay. Moving on. We're ripping right through this. Okay, new business. The Rivers Ledge initial park plans are on the agenda.
So I'll just share my screen with you guys. These are very new. We had talked about this before, and you guys had some questions about it, like, because it does mean that there's a fair number of trees on this Aqueduct Park trail that come down.
Mm-hmm.
Can you see my
And
screen?
they're coming down because they're making a trail?
Well, this is the portion of it here, right? So
Yeah.
Andrea and I walked Rivers Ledge, remember? And for the 20 acres or whatever it was, they only lost like 100 trees. So I mean, that was kind of amazing, but it was mostly because it was a junkyard and they had it all removed it a long time ago and then just stored a lot of junk cars. But this one is probably also like another 100 trees that come down. And here's Rivers Ledge where where they actually don't remove a lot of trees, and then they're going to be planting a lot up there. Down here is the park. And so like right now, if you go down there, this is where the docks are. You can park here, and then you walk down this grass path that ends right about here, and then you can come back. And so I think that actually, if you count them all up, they're proposing to remove 80 and only plant 40. And I kind of raised my eyebrows at them, but they said that the 80 trees are all kind of clustered super tight together. And so if they planted 80 trees right again, the trees wouldn't have the space to grow to be like specimen trees. And you guys know me, I'm like, I don't care. So they're going to try and put some more trees in there, but they really don't feel like they can get all 80 back and still have like the appropriate park space and spacing on the trees.
Yeah, just to clarify too, the 80 trees were what we would consider trees, what we were calling it, trees of, I guess we have a loop that, yeah, because I mean, they're large trees that are over like 30 inches in diameter, right?
Yeah, I mean, I didn't include that assessment in your packet. I can resend it to you guys. They had a forester go in there and assess the trees.
Right.
And she really only recommended taking down, ones that she felt like weren't strong, like, like they're big, like there's some willow trees there that are big, but like, half the tree is dead and then half of it's fine because it's a willow tree. That's kind of how they grow.
Right.
And then like, if there's a big old cottonwood, but it has a significant lean, they would say and then there are some ash trees and stuff that would be removed because they're dying. There's a whole list of them. I can get that list back to you. Right. But they're all marked. These are all the large trees that the forester recommended taking down. and then they would brush in between those trees because right now it's all invasive species in the underbrush anyway, and they would like to make it flat and so that people could walk through there and appreciate the trees that are replanted. And then they would brush in these areas as well, so you have views of the river. So like this is the tree removal plan. And
I have a question. Back to towards the westward on that plan, there are not very many trees, but I remember those were a lot of sand dunes. Remember that we saw some people, biking and stuff like that, sort of on the
yeah, down here.
Map,
Yeah.
Yeah. And then I thought that there was a lot of space for trees there, even because there weren't any,
Oh, there definitely are. That's not actually part of this project, though.
Oh, okay.
That's part of River's Ledge. So they're going to put buildings and replant bunches of trees. The tree comparison that I'm talking about is just in the park.
Oh,
so
okay.
River's Ledge itself is actually separate from this. I mean, it's not separate.
Okay, I get it.
But, yeah, so they'll put lots of trees back here.
Okay. All right.
These are the trees that are actually on Canal Corps land.
I see.
As part of River's Ledge. They're trying to improve this parkland. It obviously benefits them because it's a selling point for their apartments to have a beautiful park, a beautiful riverfront park that their residents can just walk down to every day. But it also obviously benefits the town because it's a public park that's getting improvements from a private developer. So hopefully like a win-win. And then like so you can see like this is the multi-use path that's coming down from the Mohawk Hudson Bike Hike Trail. And these are like the replanting. So they would put trees along the Mohawk Hudson Bike Hike path connection there. Then they would tree it down to the river, and then put trees along the new trail that they're creating. They've got some rain gardens. They've got some bends. So like this kind of long line with the little squares is like we don't want to leave the piles of aqueduct blocks in the forest because it's unsightly and it's not really doing the blocks any good, and it's not really like a park like habitat because like they fall off of each other and just not the greatest use of these historic blocks. So they have these little treatments of the historic blocks. If you can zoom in. Like these ones are a stacked block structure, so they would build these little things that like kids could play on with them. And these long lines would be that they put the blocks in the ground and kind of make hopping trails for the kids or anybody actually to walk along. And then like these ones are just like sitting stones, and then they're also proposing to do like retaining walls with them, with plantings on the backside of the retaining walls. So that as you're walking through the park, you can see the aqueduct stones and they're part of the park. You can touch them. They're here and there. You can jump on them. And then you can learn about them. They would do like some things. And then they have all these tree plantings. And they also have a couple. Oops, wait, let me zoom back out. Sorry.
Does any of the map show like any retention areas where they are retaining any of the large trees?
So I asked them about that. If you go back to here.
Because it looks like to me that all the trees are being removed and then they're just planting new trees in a park-like setting.
I would say that like at least 50 to 60% of the trees are being removed.
But there is a retention area, just it's hard to see where it's at maybe then.
Yeah, so they want to clear the underbrush everywhere. But
well, that's cool. I mean, I think, and then there might be opportunities for small native tree planting.
Yeah, I think so too. But like, there's trees actually all along the way, and they're only marking the ones that they want to take down. So there's like trees in here. There's trees in here. They didn't draw the existing trees. They only drew the trees that are coming down.
Okay.
There is a lot of underbrush there, and just
Lines.
a mess.
Yeah, it's bush honeysuckle and bush honeysuckle.
Really good that they're gonna
Awkward.
take that out and clear it out.
Yeah.
And then,
So Laura, they're cutting everything. Is that what I'm hearing?
I mean, they're cutting. They want to cut all of the underbrush and pull all the stones out, right?
No, you said they're taking all the trees out, right?
Yeah.
What trees are remaining?
Do you need your phone and your computer, or can I mute your phone? Do you know?
You're echoing.
Let me see if I can go. Oh, whoops. Sorry, Paul, I muted your phone. You got to press *6 to unmute your phone.
Okay, yeah, my computer, I had them both on. My computer revoked, the audio is terrible.
Oh, okay, sorry. So,
So it sounds like they're doing just like across from ShopRite, what every developer likes to do, and I understand why, clear cutting everything and planting new.
it's not everything, but they definitely want to take all the understory out, take all the aqueduct stones
We're
out.
talking about trees.
And then,
talking
yeah,
about trees.
like if you walk down there, there's definitely still trees sprinkled in here, but I would say it's at least 50 to 60% of the trees that are down there they want to take out.
And they're being allowed to do that?
Well, we're one say, so like, you know, we want to look at it with them and be comfortable with the plans and, you know, generally speaking, happy. And then the other say is Canal Corps. And the last time the Canal Corps looked at this, they wanted to see, they understood the report that I shared with you guys a couple months ago that showed, you know, like what the justification was for taking down these trees that have X's in them. You see the little X's if you zoom in? Those there. Yeah, but there's other trees there that aren't shown that don't have X's in them. But is one of the things they wanted to see was the replanting plan, so that it wasn't just we're removing 5 million trees and then not planting any. And that was something that was important to the Canal Corps to see.
And so I guess I
So
was
if it
wondering,
turns out, go ahead.
I was just gonna say, is it marked right now, or, you know, for us to look at what trees is it marked the trees they want to take out, or the retention trees? Like, is it marked one way or another so that we could actually see what it's going
They
to look
were
like?
marked at one point, but it's been like a year. So I can ask them to remark them, or if they feel like the mark is still strong, and then you guys could do a walkthrough. Does that make sense? You want to do it like that?
Well, additionally, I think they should show the trees that aren't shown that are coming down. You say there's additional trees that are being removed that aren't even identified.
No, I'm saying the trees that aren't identified are staying.
Okay.
What?
The trees on this diagram are the ones being removed, but there's trees that are not on the diagram that are staying.
Yeah.
That's not our typical approach, is it?
There's a lot of trees there. It would be really hard to make. It would be an incomprehensible diagram if every tree was marked.
Yeah.
I was there with Laura. We walked through that. It's a lot of trees.
Yeah, I guess I'm just thinking potentially a walkthrough with this map, you would be able to get a general sense of if, you know, while 50% of the trees are being removed, you know, do we have a sense that some of the large kind of historical trees might be retained that kind of keep some of this, you know, character of the Riverside area, like those large cottonwoods, and that potentially, because they can't necessarily maybe meet that 50%, or, you know, they can't plant back a full 80 trees because of space limitations. Can we have them plant smaller, you know, native trees or smaller trees that would complement the cottonwoods once the bush honeysuckle is removed in buckthorn? So once the invasive shrubs are removed, can it be replaced with something like witch hazel or something else in the understory that would complement it but not make it look too overly stocked?
Or if space is a problem, why couldn't they plant the other 40 trees in a park or somewhere else?
Mm-hmm.
Why can't they mitigate in that way?
Yeah, so I think we could say either thing, like really needs to be 1-for-1, and we'd like to see some understory trees underneath the remaining cottonwoods, you know, that would complement the park, and or also some additional plantings elsewhere so that all the trees that are removed are compensated for.
I think that's a good plan.
I think Botanic Park could use some trees, right?
Yeah, well, we actually have 70 elms coming our way. But yes.
Oh, wow.
I mean, over the next 3 years.
Yeah, that's a ways out, and they're small.
So do we need to like make a motion on this, Laura, or what would you recommend? What's our action here?
So I think I did have it under action items because what I was thinking is that you guys could review it and then give me your recommendation and I would pass it on to the developer. It doesn't mean that it wouldn't come back to you, but it would mean that you guys kind of like, at least had a unanimous agreement on your recommendations. Because the other thing I wanted you guys to look at was like the master planting plan. So like they are planting these like little rain gardens, and then they do have all these trees that are lining the new paths that they're making. And here there's a master planting schedule back here that I wanted to show you guys. Yeah, right here. So this is like the total of all those pages, which each had their own planting schedule. And so like they've got 11 red maples. I told them they had originally like 40 red maples, and I was like, no. 12 river birch, 7 eastern redbud. You guys see these? It's probably really small for you.
No, you can. It's not bad. It's good.
It's not bad. Okay, 10 Cherokee dogwood, 3 little leaf linden, 9 eastern hemlock. Although I'm not really sure. I love hemlock, but I'm just not sure with the Woolly Adelgid. I'm not sure about that one. And then the swamp white oak, 12 of those. And then they have these little understories, and I had them change it to more native. Obviously, I don't think that the rhododendron is native to my knowledge, but most of them, like spice bush. I have this Henry's Garnet sweetbriar in my yard. It's like amazing. And then big blue stem, maidenhair fern, woodland phlox. So those are like
nice.
I was wondering if you had any comments on the planting plan that we could also pass on to them.
It looks like a good diversity.
Yeah, it'd be good for Amy to take a look at this, but I guess my thought was exact same thing as yours. Like, given the fact that we know hemlock woolly adelgid is present in the area, is it maybe prudent to be planting that species because it then will require, will require treatment, and then potentially the treatment will not be able to be even done because this might be state property, or I don't know. I'm not sure. I don't know if you guys heard that there's a potential going to be a ban on neonicotinoids, which you would treat the trees with. Yeah. So,
why not fir or something, or
yeah. So, maybe if they're looking to choose an evergreen, maybe trying to figure out something else that would maybe be a better fit.
Yeah. I thought that too. And then, I agree with you. Like maybe I'll pass this on to Amy, like kind of
right,
just for her thing. But I also know that sometimes there are problems with birch, and I don't know the Heritage River birch, like could be fine. I don't know if you guys know anything about that. I didn't research it ahead of time.
What about sycamore? Like, again, that might fall into the kind of the character of, the Riverside Park. Sycamore is a classic, and I think it's pretty hardy too.
I love sycamore.
Yeah, that sounds like a good addition to the.
You know what I mean? Yeah, it's kind of a riverside species. I don't know. I'm not super familiar with the site. I think down river there's a lot of oaks and hickories.
These trees are going to be up by the houses, right?
Yeah, so they're up on top of the
roads and stuff.
Are these by the roads and the houses and stuff, or because it's not by the water.
Yeah.
No, but I think it'll complement the setting, and there's a lot of diversity, so it's not like they're all maples or.
Yeah.
I know, but I think we need some room too.
Yeah, like down the way, I think red oak would do quite well there as well. So that's a species that's present, even something like shagbark hickory, so those are all species. So if you go, I guess, would that be downriver along the bike path? Those are all the trees that are found in the native forest on a similar site, but like a more mature site that's less disturbed. Like this site sounds like this forest has had kind of a mixed past, right? Given most of it's cottonwood and the understory is bush honeysuckle and
Yeah.
And there's
Yeah.
been a lot of stuff.
Definitely had a mix. I mean, because it actually was the Erie Canal. The Erie Canal is underneath
oh
it.
wow.
And they
Oh.
brought in like a ton of fill. And then I think that it was maintained probably as a lawn for a long time. And then more recently allowed to regrow because most of the large trees are on the edge, like between where the topography really changes between this site and River Ledge itself is where the large trees are.
Yeah. There were a lot of dune. There was a dune there too, as I recall. There was like a sand dune place. But anyway,
That
yeah.
was on the rivers. Yeah, there was. The
Yeah.
Rivers side.
As far as the perennials too, I mean, is it possible? Again, Amy could maybe help with this, but there's really no flowering perennials here. You know, could we request some, black-eyed Susans or, other, kind of diversifying that perennial mix to bring in some of the pollinator preferential species?
Yeah, so we can say add flowering
I
perennials.
like what they have there. It's just, yeah. They're
Well,
all grasses.
The sandy part, because these things would be all right in the sand.
Right.
I don't know.
Well,
This is the end of the list, right? Like there's just those 4 perennials.
I believe so. When I was
Doesn't-
talking to the engineer, he scrolled me right there when we were talking about species. Because
Yeah.
the original one, I'm telling you, it was like maple and oak and like Japanese grasses. And I was like, no. So this is definitely better than the original one.
Yeah.
But they do have like.
Yeah. I think that this is an opportunity to potentially bring some color to the site. And too, since it's a park and we're going to be losing some, for what it's worth, it'd be great to be able to bring in some of those.
But isn't that list not the park? That list I thought was the houses.
No, this is the park list. We don't have
have
the housing list yet. They're still working on that. That was one of the other things I talked to them about. I was like, yeah, I'll bring this to the tree council, get their comments, bring it back to you. You guys need to finalize your planting plan for the actual River's Ledge, so that the tree council can review that one too. Because he was like, oh, we're gonna plant Peter's favorite tree is the Bradford Pear, and we'll just plant like everywhere. And I was like, no.
They don't do well, like with ice storms and.
Also invasive. I'm pretty sure we put the Bradford Pear in our do not plant list for Niskayuna. We did.
The big blue spen just one. Now that I'm actually looking at this, like I wonder where they're going to put that because it gets pretty tall. Can get like 6 to 8 feet tall.
It's on actually every single planting schedule. It may be in the rain. Does it grow in moist areas?
It's not the best. Like, I'm surprised they're not using a little blue stem, which would be more like 3 to 4 feet tall. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, so they've got, so that it's labeled AG. So let's see.
Program journey.
AG.
Oh, there it is. AG is right there. Yeah, there's a
So
black.
that's like the very bottom of the rain garden.
That's weird.
But Laura, isn't that in the River's Ledge area? That's not in the park.
No,
Yeah,
this is actually in the park. This isn't
an area.
Yeah, this isn't anything. River's Ledge's boundary is right here. These plans don't go into River's Ledge's boundary. The only place that they kind of touch River's Ledge boundary is the staircase right here.
Okay.
So this is their boundary again. And so the farthest that these plans really go is to make this ramp that's going so that the River's Ledge people can walk down. And then obviously over here, the multi-use path is coming down from the River's Ledge property. But everything on here and the tallies and everything is all being planted on there. And so it looks like they're putting the big blue stem at the bottom of their bioretention basins.
Right.
But this is this.
I mean, that's possible that it would do fine there. I guess I'm just Googling right now native plants for, rain gardens.
PV.
But,
PV.
I just don't know how they chose that.
Oh yeah, so they got this, like they got the spice bush kind of in the middle here with the switchgrass, and then the blue stem on the outside here, and on this one they have the blue stem in the middle with the switchgrass on the sides, and then the spice bush all kind of around.
So I just looked up native plants for New York City rain gardens, and big blue stem is listed as one of their species. Carex and scirpus, depending on. So that would be like rushes and sedges. Also, in junk like rushes and sedges might also, depends on how wet it is. But I'll put that. So I guess that's not too uncommon. So that's good.
Is that like a shady area? Other shady?
Yeah. It's going to be a little bit shadier because it's closer to there's a cliff actually that runs between River's Ledge and this park.
Mm-hmm.
But there's also, I'm gonna put this this list, just FYI, here into the chat box so that you can see. But it's a pretty diverse, impressive list of flowering plants in addition to the grasses. But yeah. Oh, thanks, Laura. Yeah, you didn't need to bring. But yeah.
Oh, guys, it's totally off topic, but I was at Blatnick Park today checking on our monarch butterfly habitat, and I found a monarch caterpillar in Blatnick Park right along the pond where we planted the swamp milkweed. He's on swamp milkweed. And then I was really excited because I thought this was kind of late. I guess I don't really know the timelines for monarchs that well. And then I came home and I checked my swamp milkweed that I planted, and I had 5.
Oh, congratulations.
Excited.
That's nice.
When we were doing dragonfly work out there later in the late summer here, there was lots of monarch butterfly adults flying around and laying eggs and stuff.
Yeah, so I see on this list they have Asclepias tuberosa butterfly weed, which is really nice. And potentially could be so I guess that's just it. Within some of their plantings,
I'll send them this list and say, can you take a look at this and maybe add some more of this stuff in there. Oh, I love Nanny. That's like my favorite.
Yeah, I realize cost and but it would be ideal to bring in maybe 2 to 3 flowering plants that would be that would do well in those site conditions.
Yeah, the butterfly weed is beautiful.
Yeah, Joe Pye weed's great too for insects.
The Joe Pye weed and the swamp milkweed can go in the rain gardens.
Right. Yeah.
You can get Joe Pye weed anywhere. Like Lowe's has tons of it.
Yeah. Yeah. So the availability shouldn't be an issue. Yeah. So these are herbaceous plants for sunny, wet zones. So yeah. So that's good. Yeah.
Okay.
Cool.
Do we have other sites to talk about today?
We'll have the trees marked that will be removed so we can do a walkthrough. We want to keep some of the large cottonwoods and potentially plant a smaller understory trees to complement them, and then plant additional trees so that it's at least a 1-for-1 to anything that's being removed. We want to look at swaps for eastern hemlock to a different kind of evergreen, like maybe a fir. We'd like to see sycamores added because they're very appropriate for that site and native. And then we'd like to see them add flowering perennials to support the pollinators, and we'll send them the list that Chris just added.
Good.
Do we have anything else we want to tell them?
Actually, pretty. I mean, in good spirit, doing all this stuff, and wanting to make it look good is great. Nice that they're doing that.
Yep.
Yeah. I'm excited, that we're able to maybe influence a little bit of what the vision of this is going to be like, as opposed to it being Bradford pears and, crab apples, so.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Yeah, we're the main board actually that's reviewing it for now. I mean, Parks would have to approve it, but I think we'll set the species and the trees and the plantings is going to be our purview.
Good.
And then we'll have a say in the plantings that go in the actual
to River's
building
Ledge itself.
area.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah,
Okay.
I told him to get that to me as soon as he could. He said his architect, they have a different guy that's doing that. This is an engineer actually that's doing these the park plans, and
Okay.
River's Ledge has their own on-site landscape architect that does theirs. So yeah, we'll see. Those plans will look a little different, but we'll see those soon.
Okay.
Great.
So anything else on this? We all set there? Okay.
That's good.
So let's see. Vincenzo subdivision. I just want to say, Laura, I have to leave in 2 minutes.
Oh right, okay, that's all right. So just really quickly, we had the developer for Vincenzo reach out and say that on the existing home they wanted to take down more trees, partly because some of them weren't in good shape and partly because they wanted a bigger lawn. I know it was very short notice, but Clark sent out that email to you asking if you guys could take a look, and Andrea was able to go out there with me. We looked. There definitely were some that are sick and do need to come down for safety reasons. There's some other, like, I don't consider them to be undesirables, but like, the cottonwood aspen trees
Right.
that are right along the edges there. And then there's some that we tried to convince them maybe to keep. Andrea, do you just want to talk about it really quick?
I mean, when it was like very confrontational actually when we first arrived, and then it was like, I don't know what was going on with that, who they thought we were
They
coming out.
don't like me. They don't.
Or something, but
You calm them down.
but what surprised me, after we left, I thought all those trees had very broad red paint on them as X's on all of them. So the truth is that if we told them they'd have to keep these trees, they'd be living with all these trees with X's of paint on them for the rest of their lives. And so it's sort of one of those things where they kind of jump
I
the
think you
gun,
can paint over it.
in terms of.
I'll find some brown paint.
Beg your pardon?
I'll get some brown paint and paint over them.
Yeah, but anyway, they'd selected what they wanted to cut down, and I had sent a letter to Amy about it because she was sorry she hadn't come, and I said it was like the trees had been given the kiss of death anyway. I mean, it's like that you're gonna go have a party in your backyard, and your neighbors are gonna say, or your friends are gonna say, why do these trees have X's on them? It's like, so anyway, it was a very strange thing because they were fairly confrontational with us, and it was really hard to understand. I mean, is it our role to, when they've bought a home and they have a home, we deal with street trees. We don't really deal with the architecture in back of people's homes, do we? Are we supposed to do that?
The fact that home was incorporated in a subdivision that just got approved, and the subdivision has a note for a tree preservation policy that the tree council has to be notified if they're taking down any tree greater than 5 inches in that subdivision.
Mm-hmm.
So,
but they'd already built the house and everything, so it's sort of somebody's private property then.
Yeah, so that was the gray area, and so like that was the pushback and the balance that I think we were trying to strike. And I mean,
it was tricky. It was like
with that developer that just kind of is the way that it is, but like at least talking to him about the ecology of the trees and stuff, I think was hopefully helpful.
Yeah.
And trying to get them to, I mean, there were some dying ash trees that actually weren't marked, and so we were like, we take the ash trees down and then maybe keep some of these other ones. And I mean, hopefully the X isn't going to deter them from keeping it. I do think that there's ways to get rid of that X. Like Paul said, you can paint over it, or I think you can dissolve it with like nail polish or some remover or something. I don't know. Hopefully that X, that they can survive the X's and keep some of the trees, that walk through, like get rid of some of the ashes that are dying and keep some of the other ones that we tried to convince them were worth keeping.
Yeah. Anyway, they were worried that they were going to fall on the house. They wanted more room for the children to play in. I don't know,
No tree fort.
Tree forts.
Children like tree forts.
Yeah. And there's I mean, where the other plots don't have any trees on them. If there's homes, they would describe. He pointed to that place where a house was going to go for an in-law or something, and there's just no trees on that. So we can get them back on that.
Yeah, so I know it was short notice, and I think the point was at least to have somebody from the tree council go out there and look at the trees, see if there were some that could remain, just take a look, eyeball what was over 5 inches that they were taking down and see if something was really unreasonable there. It's hard to really say, like, it's kind of almost just a matter of opinion, and this, comes back to how we still kind of struggle with the value tree. Like, there were definitely some that needed to be taken down. I mean, I considered the majority of them to be totally fine, and I would keep them. But
Well,
I mean,
yeah.
it's also a matter of personal preference, so I don't know. It's a tough one. It sure is, I think.
Mm-hmm.
It was like a decision being made post building of the home, and as opposed to thinking about that before they actually put the home up, and then that would have been a different thing. They could have had a bigger lawn.
So we struggle with that a little bit, right? Because we know that the limits of clearing on a subdivision are the limits of clearing for a point in time. But that doesn't mean that somebody moves into that house 10 years later and doesn't like the forest behind their house and slowly takes it down. I mean, there's actually nothing we can do about that except for some of the programs that we've talked about where we try to educate people and try to reward them for their trees of value and, have people send us pictures of the trees that they love, something like that. So there's that voluntary compliance to try and keeping the trees in the backyard.
Okay, Laura, I'm sorry. I apologize. I have to sign off.
Thanks, Amanda.
Okay, I just wanted to quickly add that the outreach committee does not have anything to report. So just
when Carol comes back, maybe we could schedule a subcommittee meeting.
Yeah, we'll get back to it for the next meeting. So okay. All right.
Amanda.
Take care, guys. Sorry about that.
Yep. I've got to pop off too, unfortunately. So, but I'll catch up to you guys next month, and maybe we can touch base on the plan.
Yeah. Did anybody who's leaving have any dead trees to report for replacement? Did anybody see any? It was actually harder than I thought. I drove around a lot today and didn't find a whole lot.
Yeah, there are some dead ash trees in our neighborhood. So, but I don't know about. They would have to be taken down first. So.
Okay. We're looking for like little ones that didn't survive the summer. So, okay. Thanks, Carol.
All right. Bye.
I see.
Bye.
Bye.
Okay, so just the last thing quickly on the agenda was the list of trees that we want to do in the fall. And I was not able to make it to River Road Park, where Amy, I think, has said that there's a couple dead ones. So maybe over the course of the next couple of days, if one of you guys get to River Road Park or I do, we'll just let each other know. I found the 3 dawn redwoods that we talked about that died in Blatnick Park. We can replace those. There's still space for Zelkovas that we originally identified near the witch hazels on Lexington that I think is a good place to just pop a tree in. At the end of Lexington, there's 2 small dead ashes that I think you could pop out and pop something back in. There were 2 dead sweet gums on Cornelius. So everything on Cornelius survived except for the columnar sweet gums. 2 of those guys died. So I don't know if maybe that's not a good planting spot or we just want to try again. And then there's a dead crabapple on the Rexford traffic circle, and I haven't checked River Road Park. So if you guys have any more, send them to me. I'm going to compile this list and run it past highway and see if we can at least get, I mean, that's probably 6, 7.
I have a question about that because I've been
put in this fall. What?
I have a question regarding what we were doing in Jeff Blatnick Park, where we were putting all these tags in that did, like, for instance, along the parking lot, no trees got put there. And
they all got put there. They all did. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yep.
Didn't seem like, I guess maybe we switched where we were putting things. So yeah, okay.
They're all there. And actually the hackberries look amazing. And they took down some of those leaning trees
Yeah.
And they did that line of hackberries like we wanted them to, and they are doing very well. There's
Okay,
two
good.
hackberries by the parking lot where it's definitely drier. They look a little more toasted,
That
but
may
they're
be
still
why I saw.
alive. And the one that down by the Blatnick Park that I think you and Amy cited, that one's still fine. The black tupelo is still fine.
Oh,
Of
good.
those ones that we cited with those stakes, the only ones we lost were the redwoods. And
Yeah.
then I know you remember staking on Grand Boulevard, but they
Right,
couldn't
that
plant
was-
there because
that was
that's
not-
the county
that was
right of way. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then the plan is still to do the Blatnick Park sign at the end of October. So keep that on your radar.
Good. Great.
Does anybody have anything else to add? Oh, and I think I announced the date for the Elms being delivered. It's close. I don't actually have it with me because I'm at my house. I think it's like, do you remember, Paul? I think it was like September 24th, which is not very far away.
I didn't know the date. No.
And I was measuring around the baseball fields at Blatnick Park today to see how we could fit the elms. I think we can definitely fit 20 there. There's no question. And maybe this is an Amy question, but Ray was saying that it's pretty hard for the guys to mow on that steep slope. And so like if there's a way we could stagger them, so like maybe one was on top of the slope and then one came down the slope a little bit and then another one was on top of the slope. If elms are good for slope stabilization, if it's possible for us to actually plant them on the slope.
That's great.
And
all I would ask, Laura, is to get the recommendation on spacing from the Institute.
From the
because
Institute.
I know your tendencies and preference.
I will look at that, I promise.
You like cozy trees. I know you don't want them to be, cold and alone. You like them to be very
together, sharing their roots and mycorrhizae. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
So I rely on the Elm Institute, and maybe there's a compromise, not quite to their specimen tree spacing, and not to your forest spacing.
Yeah. No.
yeah, we can do. Because there's so much room there. I think it'll be fine. We can use their spacing. And I think it'll look really good out there.
Well, if you stagger them, like you say, then you get a lot more in.
Yeah, like do it triangularly,
Right,
and then none of them will be closer than the spacing to each other, but then you get kind of like a double line, which is pretty.
Right.
Yeah.
I'm fine with that.
Sounds good.
And I was noticing, I mean, I don't like if you go to the other side of Blatnick Park where like the tennis courts are and the splash pad, there's like a line of white pines that was clearly planted all at once. It looks so nice. Like I really do like lines of trees in parks. It's very aesthetically pleasing, I think.
Mm-hmm. It enhances shade.
Yeah, and there's no shade. And like Ray was saying, that's really hard for them to mow. So if there's a way that we can get the trees in there and then maybe see if, we've got some extra, and no, it's not actually trees, but plant like low growth sumac under them or something so that they actually don't even have to mow under the trees, then they won't hit them with their lawnmowers. And
that's a good idea.
And you have, more diverse species. So when that's actually coming up pretty quickly, and I'll have to send you guys an email, but I think it'd be good to take a look at that and see if we can just come up with some quick ideas on how we can make that better when we plant those elm trees.
Mm-hmm. Sounds good.
Okay. Did you guys have anything else you wanted to add?
No.
Well, thanks for coming on. I apologize very much about the confusion of the time, but we got the quorum and we got through our main point of business. So I really appreciate that, you guys.
Good.
Okay.
Sorry. Great. Have a good until we meet again.
Until we meet again, we can't really motion to adjourn and not. I mean, we could, but we don't have a quorum.
I'll do a motion to adjourn.
Okay.
I second.
I'll second, and we'll adjourn the meeting at 7:11. Good night, everybody.
Good night. Have a good.
Bye.
Take care.